So, let me introduce you to someone who is much better about speaking about these things than I am. Wayne Winston has spoken several times here. Is this your fifth time maybe here speaking, Wayne? Ish? Fifth-ish. Wayne has many talents, wears many hats, and one of the hats he wears that brings him here today is that he is the chair, president, leader of the Anti-Racism Coalition of Connecticut. So please welcome back to Justice Southbury, Wayne Winston. Right in the mic.
Oh, beautiful.
Right in that mic.
Beautiful. Okay, so this is how it's starting out. Water is like going now, but I'm sure I'll get some more. Okay, am I good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My name is Wayne Winston, and I'm a bit of a media personality. So News 12 down around Fairfield County, where I'm from, these guys are kind enough to let me work on their show, comments and so on. I have a regular show on WICC, which again down around Fairfield County, is also a great asset. Every Wednesday I get to work with my partner, who is actually a Jewish attorney and probate judge. And we talk about the issues that are going on in America concerning race. And it really came out of a partnership because I would call into the show a lot. You know, I sometimes listen to the radio and it's like, boy, they got that really, really, really wrong. Well, I'm that guy I have to call. You know, I can't help it. You know, it's like that's really, really wrong, especially when it comes to racial issues. And when it comes to something like George Floyd, who's having such a remarkable impact on this country, we couldn't afford to get it wrong. I'm also on the board of the Harriet Tubman Learning Center in Powder Springs, Georgia. So her family are pretty good friends of mine, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to talk with them and help them deal with the direction that they're going now. Rita Daniels is the great, three greats grandniece, and she has a book that she's finalizing right now. And when she comes up, I'll make sure that she stops by Justice Southbury, because her stories of her family are incredible. And one of the things they often discuss is how inaccurate a lot of things are that we see portrayed. The reason what Justice Southbury does, and I have to say this, the determination, the belief that they have for their cause, the courage that it takes to stand here every single Sunday. For how many now? 168 Sundays. I haven't seen anything like that anywhere in this country. Rain, shine, sleet, or snow. Yeah. So I have to give it to you, your daughter, and the committed residents right here. You know, it doesn't always have to be a huge crowd. It has to be a good crowd. Not a huge crowd, a good crowd. You guys are a magnificent crowd. Jeremy does everything all around the state to bring Justice Southbury to different parts. Being a part of not just us, which is another organization, Brian, the gentleman who's filming over there, Brian created something because he's got 2 black children that he adopted. And the things that his children were going through in Rocky Hill were an issue. And instead of just feeling some kind of way and feeling frustrated about it, Brian organized Not Just Us, which was inclusive of everybody. Now, I bring that up because that's how I met him, and then I met Rick through my online program, which is the Anti-Racism Coalition. Born Again, the same time about George Floyd was going on, because people were working in silos around the state. And when you have great information, there's something that I have down around the Trumbull, Fairfield, Westport area, and you've got something great up in Southbury, and there's something great in Norwalk, and there's something great in Middlebury and Hartford. We were all doing great things, as we continue to do. But it was so important that we were able to come together and share that information, and that's basically how this relationship has started. I love what I do because education is the most important thing that we have. This country went through a whole tipping point when President Obama was elected. If you remember, Republicans were even voting for President Obama. They just got very quiet about it. Some of them said, "I'm changing my party." Remember, they said America can never have a third party? Well, they did have a third party. It was called the Tea Party. Because the second that President Obama was elected and started running, the Tea Party came from nowhere. And it's like, wait a minute, who are these people? Well, there's some nice ladies. They're got together, you know, they're looking to make a better America. And then when you see their agenda, and it's all of those things that good people like yourself would never agree to, that's when you know you had a problem. So that was the most important election that we had at that time. Not because John McCain was a bad guy, but because President Obama, when God moves, he moves when he does, and he moves all people. That could not have happened without people like yourself, because there was opposition. There were people who were saying, well, President Obama, you know, he's not an American citizen and so on, and we thought we got by all of that. But it opened the door to a lot of the people we have in office right now. When President Obama was elected, parts of the country said we have to counter that, because we can't have America being that place of a cooperative melting pot. It doesn't serve them well at all if we are figuring out, talking to each other, and you find out we are more alike than we are different. That's bad for them. And white supremacists were serious about their mission. There's a guy named Richard Spencer, and you can Google him sometime. Richard E. Spencer. He created an organization that became what he labeled the far right. He said because the right, as Republicans, didn't really reflect his beliefs as a young white man. And there were videos of him having his meetings. How Hitler, you know, Trump's our guy, you know, we got to get out and vote for him. Through this whole thing, he was smart. These weren't hillbillies. These were very smart young men. They started getting people elected around the country along with the Tea Party. The type that would not embrace the multicultural society that America is turning into at that point. By the time you fast forward to what happened with George Floyd, we had already had 8 years of Obama. We had already seen the changes that could be made positively, but that angered the other side, that grows like mold in the dark, in the discontent. So Donald gets elected. Hillary blew it. She absolutely did. I'm a blue dog Democrat. I'm a political consultant for a number of our Democrats around the state. And whether you like her or not, you see what we got beside her. And unfortunately, she took for granted that people would go out and vote in numbers. She just said there's no way they're going to deal with a man who offended every demographic politically that you could name. The elderly, the poor, the indigent, the even mentally disabled people, LGBTQ. He was like, you're all fodder to me. And here he wins because Hillary thought that we would be so outraged that we'd all get out there and vote. And she didn't need to push it as hard. She didn't need to run as hard. She didn't need to get into the black community and into the women's communities to get you guys fired up. He says, of course they're not. But that's what he relied upon because his people were stirred up. His people were fired up for them. I have a nephew down in West Virginia. He said, Wayne, we got a problem here. I said, what's going on? Tony, he says, Wayne, The hillbillies are coming down. The mothers and the fathers, the people that never come down from the hills are coming to vote in this election. And they're not voting for Hillary. Well, that was kind of like, man. But like everybody else, I was shocked too when that time happened, and it felt like we were in a surrealistic world. Wait a minute, did this really happen? Was this a movie? Is it sci-fi? It was like, no. And I have to say again, for our state, we fought to get Hillary to come to this state and to spend time with different organizations. And basically her people said, you know, we basically, Connecticut's safe, you know. I mean, I'm not here, I have to speak the truth on both ends. They felt it was a safe state, and so they didn't do their hard work where they needed to. So in the end, you thought that I went to vote. I thought that you went to vote. You thought that she went to vote. and half of us didn't go to vote because we thought it was safe. That election showed us how every vote counts. You can take nothing for granted. Out of all the pain and suffering and the crazy things that happened within that, stacking the courts with what we have now, which is how we lost the abortion rights. You know, they do reverse psychology. When you get in, you're not going to stack the courts. Hey, I can't, man. You already did it. You know, you only get so many, you get a point, okay? The idea that hate has a home in so many places in this country, we already knew. Now they have given license to move forward and say, if you don't like somebody, you get in their face and you tell them. Why are you worried about civility? You're a person, your beliefs are valid. Isn't our society based to some degree on that civility? That ability to say, hey, let's talk about this, not just get a bat and just bash each other in the face. But can't we just at least talk about why we're upset? Well, if you talked about it, you were soft, you were weak. So that's why I'm on the right, because we're strong, we know what to do. When President Obama is in office, and then you have George Floyd woke up America. When I say God has a plan, in the worst time in our history, our human condition was at risk. We lost many people during the COVID, but they were so enamored. You couldn't turn away during the COVID with what happened to George Floyd. You couldn't say you were at work. You couldn't say you slept through it. You couldn't say you didn't know about it. It was in our face. People came out and marched and said, maybe there is something wrong with the system. Maybe there is something wrong. Maybe black people are correct, that the police do have a problem. We didn't say all, but 9 minutes on a man's neck. I think we all know when we're getting hurt, there's a part right there where you're going to be fighting for your life to get up. And when he fought for his life to get up, it just put more pressure down. Oh, see, you're still not trying to conform. So you got to stay in your place. Come on, what are you doing down there? I think you could tell when someone is fighting for their last moments of life, that 9.5 minutes. America, to its credit, said, we get it, and we're going to do something about it. We're not just going to march, we're going to do something about it. So families across America, white families, Black Lives Matter. You know, some of the biggest organizations where Black Lives Matter were white Americans like yourself. Down in Westport, Fairfield, even up in Hartford. Because you get injustice. You get the average person like yourself, they want what is happening, and they want to protect each other. They don't want their children growing up in a hateful society that says we hate black people, we hate Jewish people, we hate Latino people. There's no place for them. But that success, when we had young females standing out there saying Black Lives Matters, and we marched by the thousands, and it infected the world, that was the trigger for where we are now, to start reversing this thing, because we were communicating too well. It was too effective. We started hearing things like woke. Oh, you're woke. So if you're woke, you must be against the things that we believe in. We believe that the white male is being left out of society. We believe his position is not important. We believe that he is powerless. In fact, in this country, if we don't watch it, it's going to be a brown America and they'll be taken over. That is called the white male replacement theory. Now, this is in their handbook, the white supremacist handbook. I didn't write it, they did. And they tell you straight out, this is what we believe. So meanwhile, people like ourselves who realize that this country is built on all of us. We're all immigrants, black people as well. Our Native American, and let me correct that, when I say Native American, it's actually indigenous. And I get corrected on this, and why? Because the term Native American means we're actually naming America, and that's not what it was before we got here. We named it America. So that's why it's indigenous people. So within the indigenous people who lost the most, I mean, this was all theirs. Come to another country, hey, look at all the stuff they've got. This is great. They got food, they got water. Look at this country. Think for America. America's the most beautiful country on the planet. We have all 4 seasons. England is rainy like you know what. In America, you got winter, summer, spring on the East Coast. You go out to California, you have some of the best beaches in the world. We have mountains, we've got deserts, we've got precious minerals, and that's what caused the problem for our indigenous people, because every time they find it, they move us to somewhere else. Then they move over here, move on, and then it just becomes a story, trail of tears, moving them out so that other people can come in and take their land. Now, this is not your fault. You didn't do this. But we're in 2023, so we have to understand the mindset like that still exists. We can do horrible things to each other. Am I right or wrong? And left to its own devices, we will hurt each other. They will hurt our families and our children. Right now, we are in the middle of another tipping point. Ron DeSantis is a very dangerous man. I don't think he's going to get elected president. Even Floridians as a whole don't support. Over 76% of Floridians are not loving his policies. Now, if you go to the R's, yeah, he's got more. But they're not. But the problem is he's in power. As long as you have the power to make the decision, that's what makes you dangerous, because he's not saying, I think and I believe. We become so desensitized to hearing racist madness that this man says he's going to write black history in this country. One of the things that they did in the curriculum 2 weeks ago, as you remove the basis of racism and segregation in this country, Rosa Parks' story becomes, now this is them. Rosa Parks was a black woman on a bus. She was asked to move. She decided that she would not move because she didn't feel it was right. End of story. I'm not making this up. This is what they want to teach your children about Rosa Parks. You can't talk about George Floyd. You can't talk about, matter of fact, how does Dr. King squeeze into there? They want, as they call, a more Americanized history. And I'm like, wow, that's huge. We're fighting right now. Black people, we're fighting to learn stuff about our own history. A lot of us knew about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but a lot of black people didn't know. A lot found out just like you did 2 years ago, because it was kept. It's not part of the history books. Before I came up watching the History Channel, they talk about black soldiers who were in World War II, Battle of the Bulge. They went and broke through the lines. They were key. The Germans were writing how heroic that these men are. And that story has not been told. So Morgan Freeman, who they're interviewing, is working on bringing this movie forth. So are we supposed to not do that? Are we supposed to not talk about the hatred, because hatred is so dangerous? And I know I've been up here for a few minutes, and I'm going to wrap it up. Well, I guess the mic said I'm done, right?
Shout it out.
Okay. The problem that we have is when you still have. Oh, is it? Okay. Thank you. So what happens is when we are in this place and we know that hate is a horrible thing. Hate is the thing that killed Germans, that made Germans kill the Jewish people and put them in ovens and cook them. They cook them. You understand? That's cooked down to ash, down to where it's pouring out of pipes. Here in America, the stories that we tell are so important so that it doesn't happen again. It's so we can say, we know this is madness. I agree, we can disagree. But we can't let hate grow like that. When the man who's in office now becomes Donald Trump, and he says, listen, I got you guys back. I believe in this stuff. He came in with someone from Breitbart News, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was a known white supremacist card carrying before he went up there. So when he was elected and people are going, well, let's see what he does, or we already knew. What is he going to do? What do you expect to happen? But those policies hurt us today, which rolls us into how we got here with what's going on in Florida. And they want to whitewash this. They want to tell you that the terrible things in America didn't happen. They want you to believe that that's what you want. They always say the American people want me to do this. The American people want me to not tell you the truth about what happened here in America. We are here, and we are stronger because of groups like you within the Harriet Tubman dynamic. You guys are the abolitionists. You're the abolitionists, because this man is turning this clearly into a war of you take a side. And the people who I know that are in Florida are very, very, very upset because they don't have any control over it. And abortion rights is just the same. When you get down to, they just got rid of the, within the Civil Rights Act, one of the most important things was affirmative action. It wasn't about just getting a job because they were black. It's saying we have no more racial issues. There's no reason to have these laws, not to protect us, and they're coming for women next. Because in the end, these men believe that it should be a male-run white world, and we have to stay in our place. And we're just trying to change that, because I know that is absurd for the men that I know. And I have many white friends. I got a lot of white friends. And we talk about this, and the issue really becomes what we're doing here today. So Justice Southbury, as I said, is amazing. You know, I enjoy being invited back to this. The times I'm on the radio from 11:30 to 12 every Wednesday, you know, I'm sure we can get that out to you. The only thing that changes America are the people. And we were winning. You hear me? You were winning. You were changing America. And they said, wait a minute, enough of that SHIT. Where's our guys at with the swastikas and the hoods and all of this absurd stuff that they tried to tell? And it's like, the Klan was real. That wasn't made up. I have family. The Klan killed. I mean, talk to black people, they don't want to talk about that. It was not a good time. When they go, that's great again. That was not such a great time. And the two last assassinations that were important in black America, Medgar Evers, when he's killed, just registering people. That's it. He ain't have a gun. Registering people to vote. And then Martin Luther King after him. And we had to pray for President Obama every single day, every church in America, that man didn't get assassinated. I am over my time. You know, I hope I said something that makes sense to you. I'm Wayne Winston everywhere. That's my government name. Easy to find. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I really appreciate you guys today, because you could be somewhere else, and letting me share a few words that are in my heart. And any questions, you can type me up, or, you know, Rich knows where to get me. So I'm going to give this guy the mic, because he earned it, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.